Board members, before we get into the audience comments portion, is there a motion to allow Mr. Plyatt to participate via phone? We have a motion from Jeff, a second from Ollie. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The first audience comment card I received is Mr. Richard Verasto.
I think it's on.
Yes.
All right, I have a couple of issues. The appearance at the clubhouse is, the gym is obviously improved. It's a paint job, so that looks much better. But I haven't been there in quite a while, and I just recently went there, and there's still some issues with the equipment, and I see that's on an agenda item, so I'll just bypass all of that. But I think the appearance is much better. I just wanted to ask the board, what do we do about a person that uses the gym facilities and is really inconsiderate and obnoxious? And I've had Colleen talk to her a couple of times. She's already said that she's spoken to her numerous times. I know other members have spoken to her, and I've spoken to her. And she keeps doing the same thing. And specifically what she does is she works out on a treadmill. And when she hits the front of the treadmill with her sneakers, and it makes this loud squeal. It sounds like there's a rat in the room or something. And it's really obnoxious. It's annoying because she goes on for a full half hour. And when you speak to her about it, she stops for a couple of steps and then goes right back to it, goes right there. And Colleen said that she's already spoken to her several times. What do we do about something like that? I don't know. I don't know where to go with it. I mean, obviously, everybody's
Any suggestion?
I don't know. I have a suggestion. Yeah, I would say yank her card and stop her from using the facility.
I have a suggestion. Perhaps she's not aware of how to use it.
No, she knows.
Properly.
She knows. She's been doing it. I could go back over a year ago, and she's been spoken to. She knows how to use the machine. She just gets up very close. She gets up very close to the front of the machine with her sneakers and keeps hitting it. Keeps hitting the front of the machine with her sneakers, and it's really annoying. It's just this loud squealing noise that you hear. So I don't know what we can do.
It sounds like in the area of good neighbor.
Yeah.
Not so good neighbor?
Yeah, not so good neighbor.
And I'm not sure that we have any remedy unless what she's doing was damaging the equipment.
Well, I don't know. Maybe she is because she keeps hitting the front of it. I guess that's not good for it. She's not on the treadmill itself.
That's the only I think of.
I mean, there are rules and regulations for the use of that facility, and if she's in violation of the rules and regulations of the facility, then you can pull her card. Well, I didn't say it was that specific. I'm just saying, is she in violation?
No, the rules do cover, behavior that damages the equipment, but it doesn't cover.
We have rules for guests that make pests of themselves and are annoying. And I guess if somebody was doing something outside, you'd have rules to get them off the property or something. I don't know.
Has she been abusive verbally or anybody?
No. She just ignores what you tell her to do.
Okay.
So I don't know. I just throw it out there. Maybe you guys, somebody can come up with a solution.
Just talk to Carleen. And see.
Yeah, she's spoken to her. She has spoken. Colleen's kind of better, I would say.
Ask Ed to talk to Carleen and see if they can come up with anything.
Okay, the only other issue I had was on the landscaping. I still think the lawns look terrible around here. So
Correct. You are at 3 minutes, so.
All right. Well, you guys were talking to me, so you got to give me a little. You got to give me a little leeway. You got to give me a little leeway.
You reclaim the time.
I reclaim the time. Thank you. And just a brief thing. I mean, I hire a landscaper to take care of my lawn. If it doesn't look good, I fire him. So, I just suggest that maybe we've got to look to fire our landscaper because it's been like this for a long time.
Thank you, sir. The next audience comment card I received is Debbie Romano.
Hi, guys. I just want to go over a couple things. And we have a big event coming up on April the 7th. We have some things that we need to ask the board. I've already spoken to Ed about a few of them already. Our biggest one is making sure that the grass is treated, because we are going to do a movie night out in the grass that night. Plus, we have all kinds of kid activities and games out in the grass. So the variants out there are still piled high. If we could just double check that, make sure that they're taken care of before that event on the 7th. I asked Ed about having the water hose. I think we talked about that. We wanted to know if it's okay if we can borrow the umbrellas from the other pool just for that day and put them back that night. Borrow them for the day and then bring them back, put them back in that night if that's possible. So we have more, it looks like we're going to have a big turnout. Right now we're looking at over 100 and some people going to be out by the pool area that day. So it looks like it's going to be a great big event. So I wanted to ask about the umbrellas. Is that okay? Yes? No?
Any concern? Okay.
Okay, I mean, they'll come out and they do fit in, because I have two at home that I'm going to actually bring two, and they do fit right into the holes. So I'm not going to take the cement piece, I'm only going to take the tops of the umbrellas. And just, I am. We have a truck that'll go and get it that morning, and bring them back that night after we're done. Okay?
And as far as the grass and it's treated.
Okay, and because there's still ants out there. Okay. Okay, because I mean, that's where we're going to watch the movie at? Okay. The other question is, I know I spoke to Ed. Also, again, we talked last time about having the storage unit.
It is part of Ed's report today for us to review, actually.
Oh, okay. You on the agenda for tonight? Awesome. Thanks, guys.
Thank you, Debbie.
The last audience comment card I received, and they're both from the same person, is Phil Harnish.
A couple more things about living in a community and not necessarily everybody behaving that way. Wondered what the policy is on posting signs, both on private property and on common grounds. My wife walks the trails every day. I'm allowed to join her once in a while. Some people post things like, this yard is not your dog's bathroom on private property, but you know, you can see it when you're walking the trails. Other postings, I see more professional signs in the common areas like no access to trails, or caution tape across grass for no apparent reason. There's no construction or moisture or anything there. So I was wondering what the policy is on that and whether we may want to put a little reminder about that. Second thing is, apparently at the request of a private property owner, there had been tree cutting in preserve areas. I'm pretty sure that wouldn't be allowed under any kind of conditions, but apparently it happened. Again, it may just need a reminder, but that's craziness if it really worked that way. Third thing is just, courtesy. Over at the basketball court in particular, but all through the property, but especially at the basketball court, there's often a lot of bottles and recyclables. It looks as though there's not an easy recycle container over there, so I don't know if that'd be a worthwhile investment or not, because otherwise the stuff blows all over the place. So that was it. I think I made it in 3 minutes.
Excuse me. Tree cutting?
That's in regards to Brazilian pepper tree removal. That's the nuisance species that they're removing from behind the nature trail, and there are some of the homes that back right up to that nature trail as well.
But that's not a home. That's not a
over on the
homeowner.
trail where there's there was like a tunnel going through there. I knew about that, but this was something different.
What's the address?
We'll give it to you after.
I think also signage you'll find in the HOA regulations on what signs can be put up, and it's right there in the HOA. So if you have an issue on property, such as you said with the dog, you should get a hold of Argus Management, Lauren Hawkins, to tell her about it.
Okay.
And then also, Lauren Hawkins is aware of the sign behind that one house, and then there was another couple other houses with some violations, hanging baskets and stuff like that in the backyard. So that has been addressed and sent to Lauren Hawkins.
Yeah, I think it's I'll talk about somebody's individual ignorance that's not familiar with it, so I was wondering to remind or something.
Yeah, if you just report them to me, and we'll turn them over to Lauren Hawkins.
Audience members, that's the last audience member comment I received for this evening. Nothing further. We'll move ahead to staff reports and updates. Mike, can you hear us at this time? We are under the aquatics update.
We finally got some rain. We got about 2 inches of rain on Tuesday night, which helps us out a little bit. It caused a little bit of a problem for anybody that's put down fertilizer, but did bring up the ponds a little bit. We could still use some more, but that was a good thing. The aquatic plants and fish will be ordered in the next 2 weeks. We're going to try and get some yellow canons for the ponds that are in view as you drive up both boulevards to add a little bit of color to some of the spots. We try to do it where there's an outflow or an inflow, where the cement, those big blocks of cement are kind of hide a little bit, and it just, they look nice. They did do the spring planting today with the begonias, so that, we got rid of, after the frost and everything. So that will, in the next 2 weeks, hopefully we get a little more rain. And they also trimmed the monuments, the date palm, the pygmy palms, so that was a good thing. Let's see, we've been pretty lucky during the winter on the fish kills. We've had no major fish kills. We had a couple of minor ones, so that's a good thing there. Great Walk West irrigation, the monuments. I recommended to Grant and to Ed that we, not that we should be responsible for it, Richard Rogers should be, but he's not budging on that. I think we should put in the, if it hasn't been done yet, we should put in the irrigation for those monuments. We do put in, if we don't put the irrigation in, and we put the annuals in, they're just going to die. So I think that was, that's what we have in Grey Hawk, landing. That's what we should have, no more, no less.
Mike, that irrigation, Mike.
It hasn't been voted on yet.
Gotta wait for them to stop.
They should do the irrigation
Good luck.
of those monuments.
Mike?
Also, we just,
Mike.
we just did
Gotta take a breath.
treatment on Pond 7 for the bitches. We
Yeah.
are having a problem.
As long as he's talking, he can't hear us.
We have the ponds under control, but there's some
Wanna go over to his house and tell him to
coming
shut
out
up?
from probably outside of our development and also from some of the wetlands. Our hands are tied with the wetlands. We are not allowed to spray or anything. Anybody that's interested can go online and look at the Manatee County mosquito control, and they can look at that, and they have the latest update on what any success they've had with the midge control. It's not great news, but it's the up to date. And they deal mostly with University of Florida, who does most of the research on that. So, and if they want to call there, they can call 941-722-3720. That's 941-722-3720. And I think that's pretty much it.
Thank you, Mike.
Mike,
Thank you.
I have a question. Some of the ponds have been devastated with the pelicans and the cormorants coming in. Do we have a plan to especially get the smaller fish in there? To do some of these ponds?
The majority of our fish are going to be small fish. We've had, it's about an average year on the white pelicans. Some ponds got hit worse than others, but the majority of our fish will be, other than like the Fish Lake, a couple of the big lakes, will be for the bug-eating fish, the red ears, the bluegill, stuff like that.
Thank you, Mike. Anything else for aquatics? If not, we'll move on to the landscape update. Under tab number 1, you have a Brightview Quality Service Assessment Report. Any comments, questions, or concerns in regards to that, please let me know. Under tab 2, the tree trimming proposal under tab 2A was actually already performed by Frank, so we will decline that, and we won't even take.
Just to go back to the landscape
Yeah,
update. Danny, you have any comments?
it's going to be.
I have no major comment. As Mike indicated, or as we indicated, the irrigation has been done around the monuments. The lighting has been taken care of around the monument. There's been a lot of planning around the monuments out here and around the circle. The issue that still remains on the board is any additional irrigation along Mulberry to resolve some of the lawn and the way the place looks coming in Mulberry. I thought we were going to have some proposals on that tonight, but apparently we have nothing. I know it's been an issue in the past. We've had this discussion, but I don't believe it's a dead issue because I think we're going to continue to hear about the request to update that irrigation.
Correct, and I just spoke with Ed to remind him, because I reminded him last time we were on site together, and meaning Nick and Brightview. So he's going to meet actually on Monday with Ed, and that's going to be something that he's going to have to finalize here shortly, is those quotes for that area itself.
May I say something?
Yes, sir.
Just,
With that rain, the bahia will start to come back. With the cold weather, we'll have some of the weeds dying off, and the bahia will start to get green again. And as we have along our boulevard here in Great Hawk Landing, we do not have irrigation. I do not think it calls irrigation in Great Hawk West. That's why we plant bahia, because it's seasonal, but it will come back. It will be green during the rainy season through the fall.
Thank you, Mike.
we did approve and the work is done, I guess.
Correct. So at this time, we'd be seeking
No, on the monuments.
correct. That's why it's be a motion to ratify the monument irrigation proposal.
Is that something that was in the scope of what Richard said he would cover?
No, he did not indicate that he would place irrigation in any of those monuments.
All right.
So that is why we did that, and that's
Apparently, he will not, it should be his responsibility.
But Mike.
How can you not irrigate the monuments, you know?
Okay, Mike, we had a lengthy conversation with Richard, and he yielded on a number of points, and we on some. I just wanted to, get us all updated on
No, I know that.
what's in the scope of what Richard committed to.
However, he's going to put a new monument on the corner of Chantilly, which will require lighting and irrigation, and we should strive to make sure that he takes care of that at that time, because otherwise we'll be stuck with the irrigation.
He's going to take care of the lighting.
Well, he has taken care of the lighting.
We will make sure that that is taken care of by Richard. He did indicate that in speaking with him as well. So
Okay.
we'll make sure that in our working relationship with Richard that gets addressed, both the lighting and the irrigation at that new monument.
Good, thank you.
Now, Ed, do you have any concerns about Brightview's maintenance, the adequacy of their maintenance of the landscaping? And
That I do not. They were out here this past week doing all the trimming. So far, I think they're doing an excellent job of it.
okay, that's fine. Thank you.
The only other item I had for the landscape is we approved this monument irrigation proposal outside of the meeting, so we'd be seeking a motion to ratify the monument irrigation proposal in the amount of $2,450 from Brightview. That was a motion from Denny, a second from Tony. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Anything else in terms of landscape and irrigation at this time, board members? The next staff report is going to be the district engineer's report, and we have Rick Shopaker present for a number of items. You also have under tab 3 the roadway map that he provided for us at the last meeting for your reference.
Okay, the first item I believe is the sidewalk repairs. I spoke to the vendor today, and he said they finished all that today. I've not been out to verify, but Ollie said that the work right across from his house had been completed. So I feel confident that they completed it. He did tell me that there were some extra the areas, and he sent me those, and so I wanted to go out to look. When I go out to look, there's a lot of places, but some of them don't meet that half-inch requirement, and instead of me fixing the little bitty ones, I figure we'll just kind of wait till next year. So I don't know if that's what he's looking at, is just some of the minor ones, so I was going to go back out to follow up. On the striping, they're really busy, but they promised me they should have it done by the middle of April. Then that map that you see behind tab 3, well, what I do is I just kind of go through the whole community, and it's just my my best guesstimate on the life expectancy of the roads. So that could be used as the tool to help kind of long-term the budget for what we're looking at. So for the most part, your roads are in still really good condition. And I know we talked to the developer this week, and there's going to be quite a bit of more of the paving, the final lift that'll be coming up here really soon. So so that map, like I said, it's basically just it's basically for information. The next item on my list was the work at the FDOT, the State Road 64. Since that work has been done, personally, I've only had one complaint, and I don't know if you guys are getting a lot. And again, that's strictly temporary, but it's going to be temporary for years. Now they also started the work on the temporary signalization at Rye. I've not been up there, but they were supposed to start that on Monday, so it shouldn't take them a real long time. I don't know if anybody's seen that work out there yet. Okay. So that should be coming pretty soon. And I'm really, really trying to push them to allow that developer on the south side to tie in the Eagle, because a lot of the vehicles that are coming down Rye that want to go south, that would allow them to just to go straight through and not come to Pope and then make that turn. And my other concern that I'm working with them is, as soon as that development on the south side of 117th comes in, I really feel what we had out here is going to just move down the road to there. So, and then at that time, DOT is going to consider maybe a mid-block island to turn around. So, but still, those are just some of the things that they're talking about. The lake bank repairs, what they had done on Lake 47 and Lake 50, the first time that they did it, we weren't happy with it, so we didn't pay them. They redid it. Ed, what was out there just recently, said it looks good. I've not been out there, but I'm about to go out there to follow up with that. And that's really all I had. Grant, under yours, you had conveyance of additional infrastructure. Do I need to be involved with that?
Yeah, I was just going to show them the map and explain to them that the two contract addendums are being drafted currently for both Brightview and Aquagenics. Aquagenics, I believe it was just one pond additional, and then it was just a couple common areas from Brightview. It shouldn't be a large amount contract increase-wise for this next addendum, but I have the maps here. I'll pass them around. You guys can take a look at it. They're all highlighted as well.
And once we have, I know Grant's been pushing both vendors, so once we have the information from them, we'll see what we get. But I've prepared the addenda in the past, so it'll be a simple thing to prepare for this as well.
Does striping?
It'll be done by middle.
Okay, thank you. And the sidewalk, is that also at the same time frame?
Unless there's some extra places, and if there are, there shouldn't be many, and I'll report.
Here, this one's easiest.
Okay, thanks, Rick. Anything else for Rick? No. Okay. Oh, there was one other thing on our list. It has to do with outflow trimming and aquagenics.
That was done last month.
Okay, so that,
The pictures
Yeah. Okay, so that's complete now? Okay, good. Okay.
Board members, is there anything else for the district engineer at this time before we move forward? Seeing none, the next item is district council.
The one item that you have on, excuse me. The one item you have on the agenda is with regards to the update on the small cell technology. Lakewood Ranch is diligently moving forward. We've had a couple of meetings now with the contractor that they awarded the RFP to, which is the USA CRAN group, which is the same group that came out to visit your community. Currently, USA is trying to line up the carriers. They want to try and get at least 2, hopefully all 4 of the carriers, so that they can then build their infrastructure. And we're currently been passing up and back an agreement between USA and the Lakewood Ranch districts to see as to what that will look like in terms of their rights and in terms of what they'll do in our easements and such. So it's moving forward, and hopefully within, I think the timeline there is about 180 days. So within the next 6 months or so, they hope to have that complete with the infrastructure in place.
Are they going forward with the same type of proposal that we received here from them?
The small cell?
Yes, the small cells, they try to get, the plan is that they, sort of if you build it, they will come. USA puts up the infrastructure. They try to get a handle on who the carriers are going to be so that they can see what their needs are as to where they're going to place the nodes and such. But yes, it is the small cells. They're either placed, what they try to do the majority of the time is place them on existing structures, so typically your light poles. But there will be a few locations that are needed that will be supplementary to that. So yes, they try to use the existing infrastructure. There will be other areas, but it is the small cell technology that they're contemplating, not the macro tower.
So I suggest we put this item on hold list until that 6-month period is...
Yeah, and I'll continue to keep you posted as to what's transpiring there.
Okay. Thank you.
And I'm glad to answer any other questions that the board has.
Rick mentioned the roads.
Yes.
We constantly have conversation with new people moving into the community about gated community, the roads, this county, who's responsible. And could you just...
5-minute primer?
Yeah, like 90 seconds of...
Sure. The roadways within the district are owned by the district. They're not owned by the county. The county has no responsibility as to ownership or maintenance. Because they're owned by us being the CDD, we have the responsibility for maintenance. And because they're owned by us, they are public roads because we are a public entity. In addition, supplementary to that, they were financed with tax-exempt bond financing, which means that we need to keep them public as well. So as we've discussed with regards to the gates, we can limit access. We can do the things that we do, which is have a gate up there, ask people for their names, take pictures with our camera, etc., but we cannot deny access.
Also, we are building a reserve for the future.
Yes.
So that when the time comes that the roads have to be resurfaced, we wouldn't have to go back into the bond market to finance that.
There are 2 ways, as you said, because there are roads, we're responsible for the maintenance. Of course, it will be, we do routine maintenance, but come time that they need resurfacing, it's quite a pricey undertaking. So there's a couple of ways to address that. You could reserve for it and budget for it and do like we do, where we have Rick take a look and decide, make projections, and we put money away so that when the time comes, we have it. By far, the majority of the districts that I work with handle it that way. You could not put money away, just wait until it's, quote, broken and levy a special assessment. It's a possibility, but it, in my personal opinion, and as I said, in most of my districts, is not the preferential option. It's not what we're doing here.
Okay.
Anything else?
So please, if you, hopefully you understood that, all of that. As you talk with your neighbors, try to spread that information.
Jeff, can I say something?
Mike, if you have something that, yeah, sure, go ahead.
Well, I just want to, since Andy and I have been working together a long time, that's been our biggest concern about our reserves. And apparently there's nothing out of the ordinary with our roads or whatever. I think they've done a better job in Greyhawk West, not putting the final top on until most of the construction in certain areas was done. But that is going to be the biggest part that we're going to need for the reserve. And it's not all going to be at once, but, we've got a pretty good reserve, but you can never have too much, especially for these roads.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you.
Anything else for District Council at this time, board members? Thank you, Andy. Next up, under tab 4, is Ed's Field Manager Report.
First off, we have the refrigerators fixed in the clubhouse for everybody's use. The water, a couple of the water machine and the ice machine were broke. We had that repaired.
What about these over here? Have they done anything to fix these too? Because I think there's water broke on it.
These are the ones that were correct.
Okay.
Yep, they are back and working. Along the boulevard, there was a couple pine trees that needed removed before the guardhouse. Those have been removed. There was 23 pines also on the outside wall that would be facing State Route 64 has been removed. That wall has also been power washed. The wall behind that, also on Brambling Court, the homes back there, their view, that was also power washed. Brightview also went back in there, and they also cleaned everything up back there as well. That's about it. Anything else? Any questions on the report?
Next up, board members, we'll still keep this under Ed's report, is under tab number 5. You have the Fitness Logic. So as you recall at the last meeting, you requested that Ed and I reach out to Fitness Logic and ask what it would cost for them to come monthly to do a fitness equipment maintenance. So it is an additional $125 per month for them to come once a month.
And there's no specific write-up about what they'll do. It's just general maintenance and general cleaning on all the equipment.
It's the same exact scope that we currently have. That's just on a more frequent basis. It's now going to be on a monthly basis instead of quarterly.
Okay.
I make a motion that we try it for a couple of months to see how it works out.
I second.
So we have a motion from Denny, a motion from Ollie, a second from Denny to try the fitness equipment 6-month trial period.
6 months is fine.
And that is a 6-month trial period for the Fitness Logic quote. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Just for those of you who haven't read the full content of our package, that's $125 a month. Right?
That's on top, is that on top of?
That is on top of our current contract, correct? Any other discussion in regards to this topic? Next up, board.
For the fitness center also, I ordered fitness wipes. They are wet wipes that are going to come in a bucket of 800. I got two buckets for the fitness center with a stand. So we'll also have the paper towels, the dry paper towels with the spray bottles, and then we also have 2 buckets of wipes, and we will refill those only once per month. There's 800 wipes to a bucket. So if they go through them, a couple weeks if they go through them, it's going to be placed only in a month. So we'll replace those every month and try it from there also as well.
Wet cloth machines,
That would be the wet cloths for the machines, correct?
not personal life.
Well, the sweat and everything else is along with it, yeah.
You want to put some kind of a note up there or a
That's
sign?
where I put on the buckets. We're going to put on there the buckets will be refilled each month, even if they do run
Monthly,
out. Yeah, so they don't get overused and abused.
Okay.
Board members, next up is my report. Just as a matter of announcement, the next meeting is Thursday, April 26th, 2018 at 6 p.m. in this location. The next item I'm going to address is, Rod Bettini, are you currently on the phone? So Rod Bettini is with Municipal Asset Management Group. The portfolio report that I passed out under separate cover to you board members is something that he did pass along to me this afternoon for your review, and I will turn it over to Rod, you at this time, so you can address the board.
Basically, nothing has changed in the strategy that was presented initially other than an improvement in performance. So what I sent this afternoon to Grant was the most recent allocation possible, which was structured today to give the board as current an understanding as possible of what we could do with the identified funds for investment. These are all FDIC insured securities. Just a reminder that we will not take custody or make any changes to the current account structure. We've already spoken with the trustee, and we will simply, as we always do, restructure the funds in their custody so they are producing rather than sitting idle.
Rod, this is Andy. Are we talking solely about debt service right now, correct? We're not addressing operating reserves?
Yes, we are only talking about debt service reserve fund.
Okay, and I just want to remind the board that at last month's meeting, we did pass the resolution to give the authority to move forward with the investments. You certainly don't have to, but if you were ready to, we are in a position to do that. So I just wanted to add that.
And if I'm reading the financial report correctly, we have $1,472,000 in the debt service fund, and this 685 is.
That's correct. $1,472,100.
Okay, so we're looking at less than half of the reserve being is our initial trial run on this.
Correct.
Okay.
If the board wants to move forward, if the board wanted to move forward, we'd be looking for a motion to authorize the chair, who is the one who's referenced in the resolution, to work with Mr. Bettini to invest the funds as proposed.
So, old jiggy with it? Yeah. Somebody make a motion.
I'll make a motion.
I'm fine.
What is the risk on this thing?
So these are principal protected, these are FDIC insured, and the way we structure them, we allow for the interest income earned to be insured under the FDIC umbrella as well. So as far as loss of principal, the risk is minimal. The only scenario in which the possibility of a loss of value or a loss of any kind exists is in an unforeseen forced liquidation of the bond, which would have to happen within the next 6 to 12 months. And there was such a turn in the market to where in that time frame the securities lost a significant amount of value. It's been my experience over the last 10 years in dealing with primary issues, FDIC insured CDs. We deliver them at par. They are held and valued at par. As I said, providing an unforeseen issue where a liquidation was imminent and it had to happen quickly, the risk, the inherent risk the district faces is that of market risk.
What, with the Fed probably going to raise in the next year and a half, okay, probably 1 to 1.5%, somewhere in that range. Does that affect us?
The reason we structure them as a ladder, in other words, with tiered maturities, with a portion remaining in money market, is to allow the flexibility of reinvestment upon maturity. So you take, right now, for instance, the funds are idle in money market. If we put a portion of them to work, I think the average maturity is just shy of 2.7%.
Right.
And over the course of the next year, the Fed raises rates. We have the ability to do two things. One, wait until maturity and then reinvest at the higher rate. Or if it's significant enough, we restructure the portfolio by selling the current holding and reinvesting at the higher rate. Now, more often than not, everything is pretty much based on the 10-year, but the CDs we're recommending are in the 2 to 3 year average maturity. So it's more closely tied to 2 and 3 year treasury yields.
Okay.
But again, everything pretty much circles back to the 10-year at the end of the day.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
And that's kind of highly unlikely, right?
We're only talking about the bond reserve right now, which was the question I asked before. So there should be no need to need those bond reserve funds unless the bond was somehow in default. But, I mean, never say never, but it's not going to be. I mean, we are a performing community with, pretty much built out. So there's not going to be, shouldn't be any issue with needing to tap that reserve account until end of maturity.
So there's really no substantial reason why we can't go ahead with it.
Again, it's your decision, but I personally do not see one.
If I may just add quickly, in my experience, once the instruments, in this case the CDs, have been in custody for 6 months to a year and have earned a few coupon payments, there is somewhat of a built-in cushion now to mitigate any potential devaluation in the event of a forced liquidation. Typically, unless something very unusual happens, like a catastrophic bond call or something like that, if you guys want to refi or if something is going to happen to the bond, you'll know, 6 months to a year ahead of time. So there's plenty of time to look at these. These are actively traded.
If they call the bond,
They're non-callable, but
really matter.
Mike, they're non-callable.
Okay.
I mean, in an example where a bond has a catastrophic cost, just something unforeseen, it's anomaly would have to happen. Is the point I'm trying to make? More often than not, these serve in the same way as a U.S. Treasury is fully protected in principal and interest. These are as well, but they're a little bit higher yielding and delivered at par. What I have seen is a very stable valuation throughout the life of the holding. And again, in the event of an unforeseen emergency, there is a secondary market. They can be sold and the cash can be in the trustee account within 24 hours.
And if we get through the 6 to 12 months, we'll have a cushion.
So in the event of
Correct.
a Black Tuesday, which we don't foresee, this is a reasonably safe investment for us.
The only thing safer than this, based on the way Rob has structured it, is to do nothing.
Exactly, so let's take a vote.
Well, we had a motion from Tony. I think we need a second.
So in the event that the market starts to head to the commode, we could liquidate this in 24 hours. Is that correct?
Or we could sit tight
I'm sorry, I didn't
and wait for the maturity.
Wait it out. Wait it out.
Go ahead.
So I think we had a motion from Tony, so we need a second. I guess Denny's, are you seconding? Okay.
So we have a motion from Tony, a second from Denny. All in favor of that motion?
This is an item that was not on the agenda, so we would just want to take a minute to open it up to any audience comments, and then if we can have any further board discussion and a vote.
Any audience comments at this time on the reserves, investing the reserve monies?
Okay.
Anyone else?
One, do it.
Seeing none, there was a motion and a second on the floor. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rod, as well, for calling in. I know you're in California right now. We appreciate you calling in.
My pleasure. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity. I do appreciate it. And Grant, whenever you're able to and once identified, if you can please send me the contact information for the board member designated for me to interface with. I can shoot them a direct introduction and we can pick up the conversation from there.
I'd be happy to do so. I'll do that for you first thing tomorrow.
Thank you, sir. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you.
And all of these bonds are under the FDIC. They're all under
Yes.
250.
Yes. We will not make any recommendation that is not 100% FDIC insured. And within the universe of FDIC insured, you have different qualities of issuers. We only stick in the top tier, A, B, excellent to superior rated issuers for an added level of comfort. Because even though you'll get your money back in the event of a default, we want to minimize, if not eliminate the possibility of that happening. So we only deal with issuers that have zero history of default and that are the highest quality in terms of assets held and things of this nature.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you all.
Next item, board members, as discussed, the conveyance of the infrastructure. If you have any questions on that highlighted map, please let me know. We'll work on those contract addendums, and we'll have them in place prior to next month's meeting. So under tab number 6, board members, you have the off-duty patrol reports. Your meeting was early this month, so typically Jackie from the off-duty coordinator report sends them once a month and sends them in a big batch all together. So the only new one that you can see that was not included in last month's would be on page number 28, which was from February 25th. Any questions or any areas of concern within the community that you feel need to be addressed by Manatee County Sheriff's Office at this time on their off-duty patrols? Seeing none, we'll move ahead under tab number 7. For your review, board members, you have the February 2018 unaudited financial statements. Going through those, just for a matter of reference, your total expenditures, your year-to-date actual is going to be $538,620. Your year-to-date budget is $520,665. Keep in mind, you do still have approximately 6 months left in your fiscal year. And we will be looking at your budget in your May meeting as well. Will be the proposed budget meeting, which we'll first take a look at those numbers for next fiscal year. Any questions in regards to the financial statements at this time, board members? Seeing none, we'll move. Yes, sir.
The monies that are invested today, and part of the, where does the earnings on that, how is that reflected in the budget? 'Cause it's not a revenue item.
In terms of the investments, aren't listed in your budget.
No, the earnings on the, are they just reinvested into the fund from which the?
So are you saying if you spend over budget?
No,
or?
there's a section of the.
If they earn $1 on their investments, where does that dollar show up?
Yeah, it should be recorded back in the investment account on these financial statements.
So it will be, like, for example, what we just did, the earnings on that would be
reinvested
back into the debt service fund, not.
Correct, not to the general
Not
fund.
integrated into the general fund's income.
That is correct.
Okay,
Correct.
just want to make sure everybody knows that.
The next portion of the agenda, board members, is the business administration portion. Under tab number 8, you have the minutes from the February 22nd, 2018 meeting. Denny did note a error in the meeting minutes. Denny, I did have those corrected in the signature copy for today. So those do include Denny's changes to the meeting minutes. It was in regards to, there was a repeat motion in one of the business item boxes that we had removed and we had updated. So Denny, those are incorporated for signature today. Any other questions or comments? If not, we'd be seeking a motion to accept the meeting minutes from February 22nd. We have a motion from Ollie, a second from Denny. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. Next up, under tab number 9, board members, you have the February 2018 operation and maintenance expenditures. These total $123,035.19. The non-reoccurring expenditures that you experienced over the February time period, you had 2 A&J excavation bills for $2,000. You also had in there, you had 2 months of aquagenics billing, excuse me, 3 months plus mitigation and wetland maintenance billing, which is quarterly. You also had the almost $5,000 for them to do the outflow structure clearing as well, which was paid during the month of February. You also had 2 months of Brightview landscape billing in February, which is $19,107 as well. And you also had Casey's Tree Service, who removed 52 pine trees from Greyhawk Boulevard in the amount of $5,000. You also had 2 olive branch proposals that were approved for another $3,000, or excuse me, $4,000. And then other than that, and 2 months of cleaning service billing as well. Any questions in regards to the invoices that have been paid? If there are none, board members, we'd be seeking a motion to ratify the operations and maintenance expenditures for February of 2018. We have a motion from Tony, a second from Ollie. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Next up, board members, is under tab number 10. You have the storage shed proposal. This was something that the Greyhawk Landing.
Before we get off
Yes, sir.
Before we get off of your report, in the financials, there are 2 receivables. One from the county, one from Greyhawk West, that are dated 2017 dates, totaling about $60,000.
What page is that on?
It's in the financials. It is, I'm sorry. No, pages aren't numbered, so.
What in your digital agenda at the top of your tablet, what does it say, page number you're on? Top center of it.
39.
So that's your Manatee County tax collector. That's the 7% tax collector fee you pay for on October 1st. You pay that. It's right here, Andy. And then the Greyhawk Landing West is another one that is for Richard Rogers in the amount of $7,001
So we're
as well.
expecting those as,
To appear as income, correct?
what's the expectation?
In terms of,
Well, now, is it like March 31st is the end of the tax collector normal cycle?
I haven't seen those numbers yet.
Okay, just curious. Okay.
Next up, board members, is tab 10. This is the storage shed proposal that we talked about for the Greyhawk Landing Events Committee, and you did have Ed go and reach out for quotes. You have 2 quotes, one on page 229 of your digital agenda, board members, and the other one is going to be on page 230, and I'll let Ed speak to these as well.
The 2 sheds, they are the vinyl sheds. The first one was from Ace. It was an 8-foot wide by 10-foot wide for $1,019.99. The second one was a 8-foot by 12-foot, and that one was from Lowe's for $13.28. I'm not really sure if you guys really want to go with vinyl. They do have wood as well. If somebody wants to maybe take a ride with me, we could take a look, see what you guys think, get a better opinion on this.
What's your opinion?
Do anything for you. No maintenance.
So what do you recommend?
The other, it's supposed to be going back by the shed over here.
No. You're asking us for our opinion. I want your opinion first.
Yeah, vinyl, it's not going to rot away. It does get moldy.
That's not an answer, Ed. But you're processing us. I want your recommendation.
It would be like me saying, let's go with a Chevy or go with a Ford.
Which do you prefer?
Chevy.
I prefer Chevys, personally.
I like the Jaguars.
I would go with the
You're next.
vinyl. The vinyl is cheap. It's going to fall apart. They're only held on by screws. They do. You can hose it down, but I mean, they are.
Pick A or B. Sorry to.
It's not secure. Yeah, the ones that are secure,
The vinyl's not secure. I mean, you could just pry those open. That's the other issue. What are we going to be?
don't want to be broken into.
Right. The other one, I mean, if you go with wood, you're going to go with a sturdier. You're going to have steel. You're going to have wood. You're going to have 2x4s in there. It's going to be sturdier. The plastic, I mean, you could just tear open that. That's the
Okay,
other
Ed.
issue.
Decision.
One that is 8 by 10 as opposed to 8 by 12. I mean, is 8 by 10 big enough? Or I mean, we're only.
I mean, Deb, you want to go with me? We'll go to Home Depot and Lowe's and take a look. See, I mean, you guys are going to be using it.
There is a company, I believe in Sarasota, that's right off on the other side by the mall, and they had some over there that was done more with the wood with the steel structure inside, and a 10 by 12, I believe, was $1,300. So for those to do it, and they say they guarantee that the wood and everything will last for 12 years.
If you.
But you would have to, it would be more of something that would be, we'd have to, yeah.
The larger of the two,
have to maintain.
Debbie, the larger of the two units are high-density polyethylene plastic and powder-coated steel. The dimensions are 8 by 12 and a half. It has one set of double doors with internal spring latch and interior deadbolts and an exterior padlock loop.
Why don't you just
It has
answer my question?
two latch
We could stop
loop
this.
shatterproof windows, stain-resistant polyethylene plastic
You don't
flooring.
care.
But it will
What
require
about you?
a pad to put it on. So it's going to have to sit on either cement pad or a wooden pad.
Andy? They're professionals, and now we're asking for opinions.
We do have,
We need a
I
pad
don't know
anyway.
what our rules are for laying cement. There is somebody in the neighborhood who,
Okay, please.
can do it. I know we still get to get that permit, but before we pay for the permit, we let somebody else do it. It doesn't cost us as much. We'd be willing to do it from this number that we said.
The other issue we have is also, are we allowed to build back there and put another structure up? They just put in a fitness trail back there. That's the other thing. You guys want to take a look back there and see if you got the shed back there?
It's not going to be big enough to where it's going to affect that fitness trail, though, is it?
No, it's pretty close to it.
Yeah, it's going to be so close to. I think it's going to be so close to that building. So what's the issue with Debbie? You working with Ed, and you guys come up with something together in that way. And Ollie, you want to be a part of this, or?
No, I want to make a motion not to exceed
Yeah.
this thing to bid.
So a motion not to exceed.
I would go with 1,500, whatever. I'm not looking for anything.
So motion not to exceed $1,500 to allow for Debbie and Ed to work together on the purchase of a shed for the Greyhawk Landing Events Committee.
Now, that's just for the shed. There will be additional cost if you have to go pour a cement pad or if you have to put in a wooden structure foundation. So there will be additional cost.
Are we allowed to do that though, or we let have somebody else board it, as long as we had that, and I don't know how it works, as long as we have that, what do you call it? Proposal, but, you know, we have to go get this, from the county, you have to get a building permit. Does that include building the whole thing all the way up, and that wooden roof structure? And if somebody else board it for us, would be, I mean, cheaper for us to do it than for somebody else to do it? I know somebody else did it.
The plastic one's going to have a plastic floor. The wood one's going to have a wooden floor.
My concern with the plastic is
It's cheap.
they're cheap, you get heavy winds, they will fall apart.
The wood, you're going to have termite, water issue, mold, mildew, rotting.
No, I don't think so. That's the one that I think, no.
If it's treated.
So board members and audience members, what if we did motion not to exceed 3,000? And that way it gives you a little, that way at least it gives you a little buffer so that if you do need to do any additional work, laying any foundation, so on and so forth, you're able to do so, and you're still authorized. But it's, you don't have to spend the full 3,000. Audience members, if we could please quiet down while we take this motion, so it'd be motion not to exceed $3,000 to allow for the Greyhawk Landing Events Committee and Ed to work together on the purchase of a wooden shed for the outside of the clubhouse. And that was a motion. A shed, excuse me. And that was a motion from Tony. A second from Ollie. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Any opposed? Motion carried. Excuse me, Greyhawk Landing Events Group.
Thank you, guys. That's a big help, thank you.
And I don't want to make a recommendation on which ones to use because I'm not using it. They're using it.
Correct. That is why they will work with you in regards to that. The next item, board members, is under tab number 11. This is just for your reference in regards to budgeting for the upcoming fiscal years. Your Trimmers Holiday Decor has already sent out their upcoming pricing for this upcoming fiscal year.
Budget that we had planned, 10,000?
It did increase this past year by about $700.
So it was 9,300.
That's why they sent it to us early this year, because we asked a lot of our communities do use trimmers, and so we asked them for it early in the budget cycle, so that way we can budget accordingly for that.
So for $10,000, we get live reindeer?
Are there other places that you work with?
Yeah, there are.
Can we get a proposal from them?
I'll work on, and that was in case board members and audience members, you did not hear that. Jeff did instruct me to go ahead and get a couple other proposals, so I will send Ed and I will work with him in regards to getting a couple other quotes for companies that I've used in other communities in the area as well. The last item before supervisor request, board members, is under tab number 12. You have the action item list. So the first item, board members, is the cell tower in Greyhawk Landing. That's going to be an ongoing, we're going to place that, in the on hold section, if correct, Jeff?
Yes, and Andy will let us know when it's reactivated.
So the next is the Midge Fly in Greyhawk West. That's something that is going to be ongoing. And I do know also, just for the audience reference as well, that Richard Rogers is going to treat that for another couple of treatments. He indicated that on the phone on Monday this week. Those are over in the Greyhawk West portion behind those two model homes that he still has to sell. The next item is the common area maintenance plan. That's something that for the next meeting we'll have the irrigation proposal for along the boulevard, as well as we will have the contract addendums for the additional areas that we just were conveyed from Richard Rogers. The review of the security protocol, that's something that we were looking at. And in regards to that, the security contract is being placed in finalized form, which is going to be reviewed by Andy, and we'll have that in time for the next meeting. The next is the preserve area encroachment. That's something we spoke to Nick about, and we ensured that Brightview was not encroaching on any of the preserve areas in any of their mowing weekly. They did indicate that they would monitor that, and Nick would speak with his guys in regards to any of the areas that we noticed that they were doing that as well. The next is the state alarm contract / gate camera placement. So the state alarm contract, Andy has actually already submitted his revisions to state alarm for that, and I see that he does have some comments in regards to that as well.
Just to say that Grant's been pushing for that, but did finally get it. I think it was early in this week, and I took a look at it and provided my comments, and we've sent them back to state alarm. So we're waiting to hear for their feedback so that we can get that finalized.
So Grant, on the common area, and could you just replace maintenance with landscape?
Yes, I will make sure that says common area
And
landscape plan.
On the state alarm, we're only talking about the contract because the gate camera placement is already done. Is that correct?
Correct.
And these contracts are just for monitoring. We're not it's not for the purchase of any equipment or anything.
Correct.
Correct.
I'll make sure that those revisions are addressed. The next is the Richard Rogers discussion. This is going to be an ongoing discussion with him before he leaves the community. I will also make sure that, as we discussed earlier in the meeting, that new monument is going to be lit and irrigated as well.
When are we going to meet with him again?
I, myself, Ed, and Richard had a brief meeting on Monday of this past week. I anticipate that we'll probably meet again some point in this month. if anything is needed in regards to that, but that was just a quick couple of items. We were provided those maps for the additional areas as well, and Ed and I took a look at a couple.
I'm available if you need me to be there.
Appreciate it. Thank you, sir. And the next item is the tennis/basketball court resurfacing. We're going to look at that actually after we get done with this action item list. These are the quotes under separate cover. So once we get through the action item list, we'll look at those prior to supervisor request. The sidewalk repair was an update from Rick Shopaker. So we did indicate that those were.
Who's doing that?
That is Site Masters. That's Tim Cooney and Site Masters. So you'll see there's gentlemen in orange.
Add that under the vendor responsible?
I will make sure that Site Masters is added to that, and they are the gentlemen that go around in the orange shirts that are fixing the sidewalk. The next is the striping, as he indicated that that would be done sometime in the middle of April of next month, per Rick's report earlier this evening. The outflow trimming has been completed per Aquagenics, so I will move that down to the completed portion of the action item list as well. That was the striping that he mentioned earlier, correct, and that was the map that he provided under tab 3.
And that's AAA striping.
That is AAA striping, correct.
So would you add that as the vendor?
I will make sure that that is added as well for that.
And the target date for both of those would be the end of April, that's correct?
Correct. I will make sure that that is updated and reflected for the April meeting agenda's action item list. And the last is the Brazilian pepper tree removal. That has been completed to my knowledge. And so that...
You also have that under on hold.
Yeah, that one.
So it's either on hold or it's
So you
an
should
act.
put the date for the one that's completed as 11/1 under the
completed
operated
portion?
ones.
Correct.
The active ones, and then move it down to completed, and then just take out the on-hold one.
I will make sure that the on-hold Brazilian pepper tree removal is removed.
It's a duplication.
Okay.
And in
Now,
regards to
we have more Brazilian pepper removal going to be going on? We have proposals for that yet?
We do not, as we can reach back out to Aquagenics if we would like to continue with that, and we can have them quote a couple other additional areas if you would like.
No, I just thought that we had, so they have done what we already approved for them, and there's no other proposals going forward.
Those proposals that we have done along the boulevard, or excuse me, along Greyhawk have been completed.
Okay, I'm just not sure if there are any other areas that need it. I mean, if there are other areas, common areas that need Brazilian, or even, I don't think you can go down into the preserves, but there are quite a bit of Brazilian peppers growing in the preserve. I think the only way you can get away with that is you got to get Manatee County to approve that.
There's a few, this is not in the preserve, this is in the common area. There's a few on the Fitness Trail. There's a couple wetlands off Greyhawk Boulevard that I talked to John already with. There's a lot of dead vegetation down there that can be removed. And then also there's an area where we're going to go for up by Lavender Loop and Daisy, the very last two streets where the smaller bridge is at. I'm going to have John look at that area. I'm going to get that area cleaned out, get some proposals for that area.
So there will be some proposals coming for those. Okay, thank you.
That's the wetland we're talking about, yeah. And the one across the street, right before.
All that dead?
Correct. All the dead. Correct, that's what we're going to get quote on as well. Yeah, that's.
Well, we authorize you to go in and take care of it. At your leisure.
You told me to designate something like that, so.
Yeah, so you designate, you're going right back at you.
Me and John Paul tried to walk that last week and was in the areas in question, pretty much a brush fire area.
So board members, the other addition that I had for the action item list is the fitness equipment monthly maintenance trial period for 6 months. Any other items that need to be added to this list at this time?
The storage shed
The storage shed we can have added as well, as that'll be something.
reached project status.
And we'll make sure that that's,
Just roll it in and drop it, it's now a project.
and we'll put that on the action item list as well.
And also the bond fund investment, is something we.
The investment of the reserve fund, I'll make sure that's added as well.
Okay.
So that shed would include
Correct.
So,
Correct.
Purchased and installation. Right,
Shed project.
massive shed project.
Before we move to supervisor requests, board members, under separate cover, you have quotes that Ed was able to gather for you, 2 separate quotes in regards to this, and I'll let Ed speak to these 2 proposals.
The first proposal I've been working on for about a month. When I first started here in 2014, the tennis courts were neglected. They haven't been touched in probably 10 years. We had those resurfaced. That was in 2014. Right now, so it's been 4 years. They are in need of it again. I went back with Welch, who'd done the work in the past. They could not do anything near what they charged us the last time. Also, the other place that I went with was with Florida. There's 2 quotes. There's a one that's marked tennis court with a little sticky on it, and the other one.
Why so fancy? I thought of foils and rapiers. I didn't think of construction. Yep.
Florida Play Structures would not give me a quote. They couldn't even match what the quote they gave us 4 years ago. Welch Tennis also could not match the quotes they gave 4 years ago, and they actually had the job done. They want right now $15,000 just to redo the tennis court. Stewart Tennis, which is down the road, they also bid on it 4 years ago. They were $1,000 below Welch. So Welch got the quote, got the bid last time. I have been working with Stewart Tennis. They can actually beat the quotes from 4 years ago from Welch. They can do the tennis courts for $8,200, and they can do the basketball court for $3,100.
For $11,300,
and that is cheaper than 4 years ago that Welch did it the last time.
What is the other one that we have here for? Because that one has fencing.
Yes,
Fencing
this is totally separate.
Separate.
This is totally
Okay.
separate.
All right.
So I do recommend going with Stewart to have these courts done at this price. I don't think we're ever going to get another price again like this. They did not know the bids
How long
from
is
each
it going
other.
to take? How long will it take to do the work?
It would take probably about a week to 2 weeks to do that, to have everything
And
cured.
we're not proposing any changes to the tennis court that exists as it is? No pickleball lines or anything?
No.
Okay.
Same.
Thank you.
What's out there right now. The only thing we'll do, we'll change up the color of it. We'll change the color up every 4 years on that.
Okay.
This is strictly resurfacing. There's a few spots that are kind of bad. There's some surface parts around the edging that are coming through. So the courts do need it. The courts are flaking. It's a flaking white, which is normal. They recommend every 4 years. So it is due to have those done again to keep the courts in working order. No, like I said,
Grant, is this in the budget?
Welch itself wants $15,990 to do just the tennis courts. That's not including the basketball court. Stewart, yes, they're beating Welch's price from 4 years ago. And like I said, the other place, I do have the quotes from 4 years ago. I have them here. Florida Play Structures would not even give me a quote. They said they couldn't even compare it to their 4 years ago quotes. So these are the prices we paid 4 years ago. Those are three: Welch, Stewart, and Playground Structures.
In the tennis court proposal, there's about the net, so we're going to replace the nets?
I will purchase those nets separately from Welch Tennis.
Okay.
And we'll put 2 new nets up as well. That's not included on that's just for the resurfacing of the courts.
Okay.
We on Stewart, take on that?
The one with the little purple sticky, yes. So they're at $8,200 for the tennis courts and $3,100 for the basketball court.
So you equally believe that the basketball court needs to be?
Yeah, we'll have them both done at the same time.
Okay.
with 11 feet total.
Correct.
You want to move?
It works.
And then, board members, do you want this to be paid from your reserve fund, or do you want this to come out of your general fund money at this time? The general fund?
We'll attack the reserve fund when the time comes.
I was just going to say that we'd prepare a contract for this as well. So if the board's inclined to move forward, it would be a motion to authorize work to be resurfacing of the tennis court and basketball court with Stewart Tennis Court and fencing at a not to exceed amount of 11,300, together with authorization for the chair or vice chair to execute a contract subject to staff approval.
I'll make that.
There was a motion from Tony, a second from Denny. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carried.
Okay.
The second packet you have in front of you, it's for a fence. It would be behind the cabana at the recreation center. It's the entrance to the men's bathroom, the women's bathroom, the events committee storage shed, and then our storage shed. Right now, we have a lot of issues going on in back there after hours. There's people actually living back in there using power strips. There's continuing they're urinating back in the doors since the bathrooms are not open. Those basketball courts are open 24 hours, so we have a lot of issues going on back there. The fencing would be fencing that complete area off when the buildings close. Everything else would be also closed up as well. They would not be able to use the water fountains back in there, use the doorways as a urinal, and it would keep everybody out of there. This would deny the access of using that covered area after hours. So when when they lock up at 11 o'clock at night, this area would be locked up as well.
Have the security guards noted any of this in reports?
They go back there every time. They kick people out of there. They use the electricity. They plug in the power outlets. We chase people off back there numerous of times already.
Okay.
Frank opens up at 6 o'clock in the morning. There's people back in there at 6 o'clock in the morning.
So there's squatters back there?
Correct.
Okay.
People are just walking in. There's people from other neighborhoods using the basketball courts. You can't monitor people that are using those courts. So if we fence that area off where the bathrooms, entrances are, the water fountains are, that would eliminate the problem back there.
So we have Arrow at 5,600, and we have...
Yes, Stewart is at 4,500. Arrow is at 5,600, and the USA Fence is at $6,816 as well.
I'm going to do a Jeff on this one. What's your feel?
I would move forward with this and get this taken care of.
Which one of the three?
Stewart Tennis is for $4,500 for the same fence.
And in all cases, this is the exact same kind of fencing? No difference, no chip, okay.
You think we could go back to him and say if we do both of these work items, we can have it work down to 14,500 or 15,000?
Yeah, go back.
I was working with him with this, including the tennis courts.
Yes, if he's going to do the tennis courts.
He's already cooked that in.
You already put that discount in there.
I'll do one contract. If the board awards it to Stewart, I'll just do one contract inclusive of all three amounts.
Okay.
So you want an additional motion on Stewart Tennis Court and fencing?
Correct. We have a motion from Tony approving the fencing quote from Stewart Tennis amount of $4,500. A second from Ollie. At this time, we can take audience comments for both the fencing.
What's the dates of when they start, each one?
I don't find out tomorrow. No, I don't have a date.
So,
We'll write that in once we have the information. I'll write it into the contract.
I was just staggering the project. So if they do the tennis courts resurfacing first, then we tell them since we're going to use them also for the fencing, that if they don't do a good job, we won't pay them for the other one. Right?
Once again, this was a non-agenda item, so audience members, did you have any comments in regards to the tennis court resurfacing or the fencing off of the
Tennis
area?
court resurfacing is on the.
That's already been
So that's
discussed.
already-
So it would be just about the fencing of the restroom and pavilion.
At the same time as the buildings, it'll be 11 o'clock. They would not be able to be back into that area after 11 o'clock. That would keep everybody out. There's, like I said, they're urinating back there. Kids on BMX bikes are just skidding all over the surface back there. Once this area is closed off, I know in the past, people wanted to have picnic tables back in there. We could actually go forward, put the picnic tables back in there. You won't have any vandalism. You won't have people, like I said, messing up the floor back there. It'd be a nice area that the tennis people and
It'd be cheaper if
basketball
we
people
put a
can
pointy
actually
top
use
on
once
them.
again.
On the fence?
Oh, you'll have a key to that. We're gonna put the swiper chain it up, and that way you guys will have a key to get in there. Yeah, there won't be any problem with that.
Okay.
This is just to keep this, you can actually, yeah, you can actually put
Not that we use
the
very
table.
often, but yeah.
Right. So after the people done playing tennis, they can actually have someone to go sit and have a lunch and have a nice clean area and trash hanging along.
So this is specific to the fenced-in area. Yes, sir.
So, just trying to picture this, so is this within the cabana itself, or is it?
Correct.
All the way around?
No. It would just be around that octagon area of that cement pad. And that way we can paint that floor back in there, put a nice coating of the floor. We'll have it'll be a nice area of recreation.
Can you put razor wire on the top of it?
Yeah.
I had it measured that you will not be able to climb over that without getting poked. So,
Any other audience comments in regard to the fencing?
I didn't realize about people squatting on that. This sounds like a good, proven solution to the problem.
yes, because, I mean, anytime, they can go back there anytime after the facility is closed. We have people back there 12, 1 o'clock in the morning playing basketball. There's no bathroom. They won't use the woods because they're scared to go in the woods. So now they'll be forced to go into the woods.
Seeing as there's no further audience comments, we had a motion on the table from Tony, a second from Ollie. All in favor of that motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carried. The last item on the agenda, board members, is supervisor request.
I have a request that
Yes, sir.
came up when we met with the DOT. At the exit of Barrack Boulevard onto 64 West, there's a pothole that's about this deep and about this wide. I mean, it's not even a pothole, it's the edge of the road. I'm not sure that that's ours to do anything about, but,
That is theirs. I called them once before they filled that in, so we'll have to give them a call.
okay, yeah, so put that as an action item to fill in that.
I'll make sure that that is noted as well on there.
You know, having that a solid surface would give people the opportunity to make that turn more tightly rather than having to go out and make a 90-degree. They can make it, and therefore get out onto 64 faster.
They're going to need some pavement in there. They keep going in with the just dirt and gravel.
So if you would, you know.
I'll work with Ed on that and make sure that's addressed. Other supervisor requests at this time, board members? We have a motion from Ollie, a second from Tony. All in favor of that motion, please say aye. Any opposed? Consider this meeting adjourned at 7:25 p.m. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Mike.